And we have no public comment, so we will move on to the first presentation of the night, Bardwell Elementary School.
Great.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Norrell, and cabinet members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding our school improvement plan. I am Catherine Cahoon, proud principal of CM Bardwell Elementary School, and with me this evening are our fabulous assistant principals, Michelle Candle and Laura Sandoval. We begin with a review of highlights from the 2023-24 school year. Last year, we continued with high expectations for our students with goals of 60% of students meeting expected growth targets in both reading and math as measured by the NWEA MAP assessment. We celebrate that we exceeded our goal in math with 61% of our students making expected growth. 48.2% of our students made expected growth in English reading, and 53.2% of our students made expected growth in Spanish reading. This year, we are going to continue to set rigorous goals for our students. We maintained a daily average attendance of 93%. 99% of our students received 2 or fewer office discipline referrals, demonstrating that the Tier 1 supports in place for students are positively shaping student behaviors. As a result of our efforts, we maintained a summative designation of commendable. We strive to make Bardwell a place for the whole child. Our school improvement plan goals address student well-being, attendance, and academics. Our data from the 2023-24 school year shows that our proficiency on the MAP assessment aligns very closely to the CFA data for most grade levels. Although our percentages of proficiency on the IAR assessment are low, 46% of our students made growth in English language arts, and 59% of our students made growth in math. We know that the IAR is a rigorous assessment, and our goal is to enhance literacy instruction and strive for increased proficiency.
At Bardwell Elementary, it is important for our students to be safe, respectful, and responsible. Therefore, we would like 97% of our students to receive 2 or less behavior referrals during the 24-25 school year. In order to accomplish this, the Bardwell staff will continue to teach, model, and practice school-wide expected behaviors, implementing the second step curriculum with fidelity, and using the monthly focus areas of behavior to teach social skills. Bardwell students will be recognized on a monthly and quarterly basis for demonstrating expected behaviors both in the classroom and school-wide. We will continue to use the MTSS framework and Satchel Pulse survey to not only identify students needing additional support, but to provide the resources and interventions available for students' well-being. This year, with the use of ESSER funds, we will provide teachers with break boxes, which contain sensory tools to use in calming corners. We will also create 2 sensory hallways to further meet the behavioral and social emotional needs of our students. Lastly, we will communicate with our parents and guardians regularly about the various resources available to further develop social emotional skills.
At Bardwell, we want our students to be happy, healthy, safe, and learning. Our operational goal number 2 is to maintain an average daily attendance rate of 95%. Our staff works collaboratively each day to identify our students who are absent and to connect with their families by phone or school status to figure out the why our students are not attending, but more importantly, to make our families know that our teachers and our staff care and we want our students to be in school. Last week was a big week at Bardwell. We had our second parent coffee where we talked about attendance, and there we quantified for families what missing 2 days a month or being tardy 5 minutes up to 15 minutes, how much learning is missed. And I think it really struck a nerve with families when we showed them if they're absent Tuesdays every month, that's equivalent by the time they graduate to 1 whole year of learning that they're missing. We've also set up our Tier 3 attendance conferences with the ROE to formally place students on Kari Glenn's caseloads if they've missed 10 or more days, and we start that next week, the meetings. As a building, we found creative and meaningful ways to acknowledge students who show up weekly, monthly, quarterly, and at the 100th day. We like to celebrate with prizes, certificates, gift cards, and school-wide recognition to show our students that we appreciate and support their efforts. Lastly, at Bardwell, we're keenly aware of the world in which we live in and that school anxiety is real. Our building specialists connect with our students and their families through the social emotional level to make coming to school achievable in a place where kids feel encouraged. Second step lessons are also another tool to have conversations and have real life examples with students so that they know that they're not alone and they're supported at Bardwell. We strongly feel that regular attendance at elementary school is important for our students to develop good habits, build relationships, and set foundations for future success.
For our first goal, focus on student achievement. We set high expectations again for 60% of our students to meet their expected growth target in reading on the NWEA MAP assessment. Data analysis drives our instructional decision-making. In addition, we place focus on best practice strategies and professional development to support teachers, with implementation of those strategies. For our student achievement goal in math, we are aiming for 65% of our students to meet their expected growth target on the NWEA MAP assessment. Making data-driven decisions allows us to provide targeted small group and individual student support based on student needs. Through student goal setting conferences, we give students ownership of their data so that they are aware of where they are and what their targets are. We monitor instructional practices through regular data analysis, observations, and classroom visits. By setting ambitious goals for our students, we are confident they will strive to reach their full potential. Thank you.
I do have a question. Just going back to that third slide with IAR, I know that the percentages are quite low. I mean, and you kind of briefly went over, but is there anything additional that we can do just to kind of, I know that with the MAP testing, I saw I think it was, this one right here. I didn't know if there's anything else that, the board can provide or anything else that we can do to kind of see, a bigger increase there.
One of the things that we know is that the IAR assessment is very rigorous with writing.
Oh,
Both on the English language arts assessment and in math, students have to do a lot of writing to explain their thinking. And for the ELA, there's a whole writing section on the test. So that's something that through our literacy instruction, we're targeting this year more than we have in the past, is the writing, and in K2, making sure that those foundational skills are strong. And working with our third graders who are going to be taking the test for the first time so that they're ready to answer the kinds of questions that the IAR test has. It's different than the MAP test.
Oh, no, right. Yeah, no,
Right,
I get
so-
that it's different. And the second graders, for the most part, they're looking great.
Mhm.
So hopefully, maybe those numbers would be a little bit higher for the
Right.
third graders.
So knowing that we have to focus on writing is
Yeah.
really
Okay.
what we're hitting.
We also do a structured after school program the month before IAR where we're doing practice tests and we're really learning how to read what a question's asking and then going back and finding text evidence for it. And this year, using subs that are in the building and some of our teacher assistants, we're going to try to target a little bit more. Some of the kids were the CUSPIT kids that need that bump to get over as well.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
I think that's a good point, Juan. And I think for me, I took IR last year for the first time in third grade, which was interesting to see coming from first grade, but it was a lot rigorous, right? And now coming back again to first grade, I think we need to start young and showing them how to annotate and going back to look for the answer, because that's definitely going to help them in the long run.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that we can start them a little younger and showing those strategies before they get to third grade, which is the first year they take it. But I hope, we can continue to do better and continue to increase that percentage going higher. But again, just making sure that we are hitting the rigorous, but then if there's anything else we can help, just please let us know.
Right.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Brady. I was just there today.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Norrell, and cabinet members. Thank you so much for having us here today. I'm Elizabeth Vivanco, and I'm the principal of Brady Elementary School.
And I'm Paul Muchler, assistant principal at Brady.
So we'd like to start our presentation by highlighting some of our accomplishments from last year. So in math, we had 65% of our students meet their projected growth. In reading, we had 50% of our students meet their projected growth. Our attendance was at 93% average daily attendance. And on access, we had 60% of our students in grades 3 through 5 that scored at or above a level 3 in reading. And that is an increase from 53% in the previous year. In addition to that, taking the whole child into consideration, for social emotional needs, we focused on the Satchel Pulse results to create groups in order to target those students that either identified themselves as having social emotional needs or that the teachers reported that they needed a little extra support. For our building-wide data, I want to highlight the growth that the kindergarten made in math especially. And I just want to say that same IAR is rigorous. And so we definitely have plans to have the grade levels work on creating sample test questions and doing that during their warm-ups. That's something that fourth grade has been doing. And that's something that we want to continue with the other grades as well. We had a school-wide emphasis on reading for the last 2 years to really build on their reading skills, their language skills. And we have been measuring our math progress using iReady diagnostics.
Our first goal is by the end of February 2025, Brady will reduce major ODRs, which include fighting, physical aggression, bullying, and harassment by 10% from the previous school year. A couple of the steps that we're taking this year to help with that is we are identifying SEL needs based on daily check-ins, ODRs, and second step lessons, along with our Satchel Pulse results. We are implementing a 10-minute cool down after lunch and recess period for additional SEL. We have built school-wide and individual behavior incentives. One thing to highlight was today was one of our first grade classrooms reached their goals for class pause and had a pajama day. And then we're also going to recognize end of the year students with no ODRs.
We would like to maintain an average daily attendance of 95% for the school year, and we are tracking daily attendance every morning on the announcements. I say what the previous school day's attendance percentage was to kind of encourage students to reach that goal of 95%. We have shared that attendance data with parents, not only through our monthly bulletin that we send out, but also through the chats with the principal and having conversations about how we can increase those numbers. We also have monthly perfect attendance rewards for our students. Popcorn is always very popular, along with the sticker and a pencil that we added this year. Our MTSS team monitors not just academics, but also attendance and behavior. And we have our attendance buddies again this year, which is when we pair up students that are showing success in coming to school. Some of our older students are 4th and 5th grade students, and we pair them up with those students that maybe are having trouble coming to school. And so they have this connection where they meet up in the morning and they encourage them to come to school, and they have, something to look forward to every day and really give them a sense of belonging in the school. In addition to that, we're continuing our in-person parent meetings to forge that school to home connection to see what is it that we can help with in order to maybe find the root cause of any of those attendance issues.
Our third goal is for reading. So by winter of 2024, 65% of students will meet or exceed their expected growth goals in reading measured by the NWEA MAP. Our action plan includes teachers will use and administer district-created CFAs. We'll do data dives twice per year to provide strategies for interventions. Teachers will use at grade level curriculum and differentiated small group instruction for reading. We'll track the use of curriculum through our weekly administrative walkthroughs. In those walkthroughs, we'll also provide individualized feedback for teachers about instruction and provide reading professional development during the second staff meeting of the month.
Our goal for math is, again, for 65% of students to meet or exceed their expected growth. And we have a similar action plan as for reading. One thing I want to highlight is monitoring the iReady My Path requirement of 50 minutes a week for that individualized practice where students can really target the areas where they need some growth and need more practice. Also, we're targeting foundational math skills and centers, which is our small group learning, and definitely that's something that we're monitoring through our walkthroughs. Thank you so much.
I do have just one thing. I know that for math, NWA math, I think you ended at 65% last year and you're leaving the goal to be the same. I think it should probably be raised up to 70 just to kind of have something to look forward to.
Aspire to.
Just
okay.
my opinion, sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're like, where's the growth?
I just have a quick question. I know last year you had the opt-out students. What grade were those students in from last year?
So it was kindergarten through third grade.
Thank you.
Mhm.
They were students that opt out of the dual language program.
So I'm new, I'm learning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you announce them? Yeah. You can.
The next agenda item is an update for our literacy pilot with a presentation by Eulalia Valdez, presented here by Dr. Rita Guzman and Teresa Vemmer.
Dr. Redmer.
Good evening, committee and board members. Thank you for allowing us to present today. We'll go ahead and start with the product selection process, just to give you guys a little bit of an update. The Curriculum Council met with the vendors and they used a rubric to score, focused on the dual language principles as well as the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan. They surveyed the teachers. They surveyed all teachers K through 5. They received over 55% response and need to continue. And basically what the results of the survey indicated was that they wanted for us to continue a strong emphasis on the foundational of literacy, writing, as well as the availability of digital components in both language and easily accessible in both languages. And making sure that many of the components were not just translated, but authentic translation was there, no adaptation translation. They really pinpointed and honed in on what they were looking for.
From the survey from our Curriculum Council members, we landed on 2 different products. Into Reading, Arriba la Lectura by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, and Benchmark's Advance and Adelante. The highlights from those 2 vendors are listed above as noted by our Curriculum Council members. One of them for Into Reading was the existence of micro-interventions, an easy-to-use digital platform, including Amira, which is an adaptive and personalized learning AI source. And one of their biggest pieces was that they do now own NWEA. So they integrate the map data as well, and they're looking forward to that partnership in the future. With Benchmark, one of Benchmark's highlights included having routines and foundations being the first 2 weeks of the school year. They included tiered vocabulary, which was a big focus that we had last year, and their skills are spiraled, which include not just within the grade or the unit, but between the grades. And those were highlights brought to us by our curriculum council members.
The continuous being definitely present. And it was over 5 vendors. Obviously, the number started with like 12, then 9, and then 7, and then 5 was what was presented to the curriculum council.
And from there, we sent out surveys as well to our teachers to invite them to pilot the 2 resources. We ended up with 60 different teachers volunteering to pilot, which included teachers from all buildings and programs, including our dual language program, our opt-out, our special education, self-contained, as well as resource teachers. We have coming up for them next week, we have 2 training days for the different resources to get our teachers ready for our pilot that will take place on November 4th through December 20th.
And this, once again, it's just a timeline of where we find ourselves moving forward. Obviously, the teachers are going to go ahead and have an opportunity to pilot the material, provide feedback throughout, multiple meetings throughout, as well as following the pilot recommendation and then bringing it to you guys based on the feedback that we receive. Materials need to be ordered, professional development will begin, and obviously professional development will continue for all stakeholders, and material distribution by the summer. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. You do? Okay. Yeah, so I'm learning. This is new to me. But I just learned when I know Dr. Real mentioned about students can opt out of the classes. So just I kind of want an idea of this pilot program. Is that going to encourage or provide additional support for teachers to be able to really do that cross learning for those students who are primarily English speaking students, and mixing that with Spanish speaking students so that there can be an equal access of learning in that particular programming? Is that the purpose of this?
Yes,
program?
and that was actually one of the guiding principles that we use to review the different resources to make sure that there were cross-linguistic connections in between the 2 languages and the resources that we presented. There were vendors that were excluded because they did not offer that.
Okay. So there is a mechanism to evaluate to see if that is a successful tool for the teachers as well as the students, correct?
Absolutely. We make sure that the components and pillars of literacy are present, obviously for their students. I'll want to make sure that it's very strong, phonemic awareness, phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, all of those components, we make sure that they were present. That was part of the rubric where we even had vendors say, I'm going to step out of the, step out of it. Yes.
Last one, I promise.
Yeah, no,
So
no,
when
ask.
students, or families say that they want to opt out, what is in place to make them feel a little bit comfortable? So if this is a program for all students, that they can be successful in that particular program.
They would still use the same curriculum. It's the same rigorous curriculum for all students. That's their core.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
I just have I have a few questions.
All right.
And a few comments as well.
Yeah.
I know last year when I was talking to Dr. Delacqua about about thinking about piloting new curriculum because of ReadyGen. And then we purchased some books for 4th and 5th grade. And I know we made a purchase of over, I think, $60,000 for 4th books and 5th. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to utilize those 5th grade books somehow so they are not just collecting dust. But also, I'm looking at the pilot taking place from November 4th and be done by November 20th. How many units are you guys planning on piloting? I mean,
It's December.
right, November 4th to December 20th.
Yeah.
But there's Thanksgiving break in there. And then, so I'm just concerned about the timing. There's a lot of resources available for both programs that I don't think teachers will have enough time to really dive into all the resources in that time frame?
Well, we're following what we usually follow, 6 to 8 weeks pilot implementation, what we have done in the past for any other core curriculum. But if that is part of the feedback, that is part of what we're collecting. So if we need to go a little bit longer, then we will, depending on the feedback that we collect from the teachers.
Any other questions? No questions? Okay.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Okay. The next agenda item is a request for a proposal quote for Teachstone. So we've worked with them prior. They are the platform that we use for the class observation walkthrough tools in the buildings. This tool is a tool that all of our coaches have been trained in and certified in. And it streamlines the data collection, their coaching and PD within the buildings. And also our administrators were trained last year and are also using the classroom or the class tool for walkthrough observations. So we do have a group of new administrators as well as some new coaches. And we just wanted to make sure that they also received the same training to use the class observation walkthrough tool.
So this is something that we currently have in place already?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. It's just getting everybody up to date, the new staff that we have.
Thank you.
And we're hoping that it goes to action next board meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next item is the resolution for disposal of outdated and expired chemicals from Fred Rogers Magnet Academy. And the documents and the list of chemicals were provided. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay. The last agenda item will be the updated enrollment and attendance that you received in your packet. Current enrollment is at 12,324. Any questions?
Is that what we started out this year and the enrollment number?
I believe actually it's gone up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since the first day of
Yeah.
school.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
We have no new business. There's nothing else on the agenda. So at this time, we'd like to thank you all for joining us the 21st of October for our curriculum committee meeting. And we will now adjourn at 6:28 p.m.
Thank you.